All right, let's dive right into what is, no joke, one of the most powerful ideas to come out of the 20th century. We're going to break down Albert Camus' famous essay, The Myth of Sisyphus. And what's wild is we're going to uncover its surprisingly uplifting message about how to find joy in a world that, well, doesn't seem to offer any.
So Camus kicks things off with an absolute gut punch. And look, he isn't just trying to be morbid here. He's setting the stakes as high as they possibly go. His whole point is that before we can even think about asking any other questions about life, we have to first answer the most fundamental one of all. And this is that question. This is what drives his entire essay. For Camus, facing this head-on, without flinching, is the very first step toward living an authentic life. So how does he answer it? Well, to get there, we first need to get a handle on his core concept. And that concept is the absurd. Now, this is a word we toss around all the time, right? But Camus gives it a very specific, very philosophical meaning. It's really the key that unlocks his entire worldview.
Okay, so this is the crucial point. The absurd isn't the world itself. The universe isn't absurd, and our desire for meaning isn't absurd. The absurd is the clash, that permanent, frustrating, and totally inescapable conflict between the two. You know, it's that tension that's created when our very human needs meet a reality that simply doesn't care.
And this visualizes that conflict just perfectly. On one side, you've got us, you've got humanity, basically shouting into the void, demanding meaning, clarity, and some kind of reason for it all. And on the other side, the universe's response, just a deep, profound, unreasonable silence. The absurd is born right there, in that gap between our shout and the total lack of an echo. So, once you become aware of this absurd clash, Camus says we're naturally tempted to find a way out, an escape hatch. But he argues that the most common escape routes are actually philosophical dead ends. He points to two main escapes. First, there's physical suicide. He sees this as an act of resignation. You just end the conflict by removing yourself from the equation. But then there's a second, much more subtle escape he calls philosophical suicide. This is the leap of faith, abandoning reason to find comfort in religion or any big system that promises some higher purpose. For Camus, both of these are a betrayal of our most important tool, our rational mind. And this is brilliant because it shows how philosophical suicide isn't just some abstract idea from the 1940s. It's happening all around us every day. It's that belief that the next promotion will finally make you happy. It's buying into a corporate mission statement like it's some kind of sacred text. Or it's following a productivity system with almost religious devotion, hoping it'll bring a sense of order to the chaos. These are all modern-day leaps of faith. So if we're not supposed to escape the absurd, what on earth are we supposed to do? Camus says we have to live with it. And he actually gives us a pretty powerful toolkit for doing just that.
You see, accepting the absurd actually leads to three amazing consequences. First up is revolt, a constant, conscious confrontation with our condition. We just never give in. Second, we get freedom. We're liberated from the need to find some higher purpose, which makes our lives entirely our own. And third, passion. If there's no divine meaning, then no single experience is better than another. So the goal becomes to live the most life possible, to focus on the quantity and intensity of our experiences, not some prescribed quality. This isn't about despair, it's about defiant joy. To bring all of this together, Camus uses one of the most powerful metaphors in all of philosophy, the ancient Greek myth of Sysiphus, who he calls the ultimate absurd hero.
You probably know the myth. Sysiphus was condemned by the gods to an eternity of completely futile labor. His punishment? Push a massive boulder up a hill, only to watch it roll right back down every single time. A pointless, hopeless task. But Camus says if we only focus on the struggle up the hill, we're missing the entire point. The most important part of this whole story is the pause. It's that moment when Sysiphus watches the boulder roll away and begins his walk back down the hill to start all over again. So why is this moment so crucial? Because it's his moment of consciousness. He is fully, totally aware of the endless, hopeless nature of his fate. There are no illusions. And by understanding his condition completely and then choosing to continue anyway, he actually becomes superior to his punishment. He owns his fate.
So that boulder, it represents that eternal, seemingly meaningless task that's right at the center of the human condition. It's the struggle without any final reward at the end.
And let's be real, we all have a boulder. It's the endless stream of emails in our inbox. It's that quarterly target that just resets to zero the moment you hit it. It's the repetitive work that feels like it's going absolutely nowhere.
this ancient myth is really about our modern lives.
And this all leads to Camus' breathtaking conclusion. He says, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." Why? Not because he's delusional, but because his happiness is found in the struggle itself. By scorning the gods and embracing his rock as his own, he finds freedom and fulfillment in the effort, not the outcome.
So Camus leaves us with this powerful idea. The struggle itself is enough to fill a person's heart. Happiness isn't something we find by escaping our burdens, but by consciously and defiantly shouldering them. So the question this whole thing leaves us with is a really personal one. What is your boulder, and how can you learn to push it with joy?